Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to solve another popular question on Codeforces, that is Nastia and a good array. The problem statement goes like this. Nastia has received an array of n positive integers as a gift. She calls such an array good, a good, that for all I such that I lies between 2 to n takes place GCD of I minus 1 and a of I is 1, where GCD of u and v denotes the greatest common divisor of integers u and v. What this paragraph states is that the GCD of all the adjacent pairs in the array must be 1. You can perform the operation such that select two different indices I and j such that they are not same, and two integers x and y, so that minimum of a of I and j will be equal to minimum of x and y. Then change a of I to x and a of y to j. Now this condition that they have mentioned here is very important. This basically states is that between the elements that we choose, like the x and y that we choose, one element must be from the array, because the minimum element from these two elements that we are choosing from the array must be equal to the minimum of two other elements. So it's natural that the minimum of these two elements is an element from the array. The girls ask you to make the array good using at most n operations. It can be proven that this is always possible. So in one operation we can just change a value of an element, and we have at most n operations to make the array good. So this was a problem statement. Now let's discuss the input format. As usual, the first line of the input contains t, that is the number of test cases. The second line contains n, that is the length of the array, and the second line of its test case contains n integers, that is our array. Now let us discuss see what they are expecting in the output. So for each test case, print a single integer k, that is the number of operations that we are performing. In each test case k, print four integers, that is I, j, x and y. So that minimum of a of I and j will be equal to minimum of x and y. In this manner, we'll replace a of I with x and a of j with y. If there are multiple answers, print any. So they have already stated that there can be multiple possibilities, and we have to print any possibility. So here they have provided sample input and some sample output. So you can check this out. Now I hope the problem statement is clear enough. Now let us discuss an observation. So observation or the very important observation here is that let's consider integer n, the number before it and the number after it. Now it can be clearly seen that if we perform GCD of n and the number before it, it will always result in 1. And in the same way, if we take the GCD of n and the number after it, it's again always going to it is again always going to be 1. So this observation is very important and yet very basic. And with this observation, we are going to solve a problem. Uh, let us take an example. Let us understand with an example. So here this example I've taken from the question itself, which is 9, 6, 3, 11, and 15. 9, 6, 3, 11, and 15, with the indexes starting from 1 and which goes up to 5. So in our approach, what we are going to do is that we are going to play a trick. So the condition that they have mentioned is that let's understand the condition first, that a of I and a of j must be equal to minimum of x and y. So what if so as I said earlier, the one element from either side, like LHS and RHS, is going to be the same, and it's going to be the element from the array. So what if we take any element a of j or a of I, or let's say a of j for now, as the minimum element from the array. So the minimum element from the array, as you can see, it is 3. So what if we let us consider it as x, not x, let us consider it as e, and here we'll replace x with e. So this would be a minimum element. Now for all the elements that are before the minimum element, and for all the elements that are after the minimum element, we are simply going to perform use a loop, and change the value of that element. Like we are going to change the element of 6 to the next element after 3. So we'll be changing 6 to 4, and we'll be changing 9 to 5. The same way, all the elements the same way for all the elements after the minimum element. So after 3 would be changed to 4, that is 3 plus 1, and 15 would be changed to 5, that is 4 plus 1. So a new array would look like 5, 4, 3, 4, and 5. So in this way, we'll be solving a problem, and as you can see, for all the adjacent pairs, the GCD of all the elements is equal. Now for the output format, it's a bit trickier, so let's discuss it as well. So first, we'll be printing the index of the element I, the index of the element j, that would be I plus 1, and then we also supposed to print what we are replacing, the elements that we are replacing with. So this would be a minimum element, that is a of I, and this would be a y. So this is how our output is going to look like, as they have mentioned in the question. Where is it? Here, I, j, x, and y. Let's take it as x only. So now, as per the approach that we have discussed, our I will always be is always going to be the minimum index. Minimum index. Our j would be minimum index plus 1, or minimum index plus 1 for all the rightmost elements. Uh, then our j would be the minimum index plus 1 for the rightmost elements. Our x is going to be the minimum element, and the next element would be the what will increment, what the element that will be getting after incrementing the min element. uh, let's call it min element plus 1. This will be for the leftmost element, and the condition would change for the elements sorry, the leftmost rightmost element. Sorry, the before it was rightmost, now it will be leftmost elements. So if we take this example, uh, the first it will print the number of lines that we are printing in the output. So it is always like, if n is 5, we are always going to print n minus 1 lines. So with that in mind, the lines will be printing is 4. The minimum index here is 3. The index, let's first consider the right side of the array, that is this side. So with that in mind, first we'll be printing the ID of the minimum element, or the index of the minimum element. Then we'll be printing next element, right, the rightmost element, that is 4. And then we'll be printing the minimum element itself, that is 3, and 3, and the element that is 4. In the next line, it will be the index of the minimum element, the next element in the right side, the minimum element, and the next element after the previous element, incrementing the previous element. Incrementing 4 will get 5. Now this was for index 4, and this will be for index 5. In the same way, for the we'll do for the right side. So the index of the minimum, the index of the element on the left of minimum element, that is 2, then the minimum element, and then again the minimum element plus 1. Then for the left element, that is minimum index 3, then it is 1, the index of the first element, then the minimum element, and the next element, that is incrementation of the previous element, that is 5. So this is how our output will look like. Now let's consider the code for the program. Let's see the code how it is. So here first we are taking the input n, that is size of the array. Then we are accepting the array. We are initializing our minimum index. Here I have considered like taken input in terms of zero base indexing. Uh, okay, so we are considering a minimum index. We are storing the index of the minimum element in the minimum index. Now we are printing n minus I, that is the number of lines that we are going to print. Here it was 4. So after printing the lines that we are going to print, we are taking a minimum element. Then we are iterating to the right side of the array and printing the elements in order. That is, first we will be printing 3 4 3 4, then 3 5 3 5. Here I have declared a helper function which will simply print the 4 elements that are provided to it here, and the same will be repeating to the elements on the right of the minimum element. Right. So sorry, this was for the right, and this will be for the left side. So this should be our output. Let's try running the code. So this is the exact output as we discussed earlier: 3434, 3535, 3234, 3135. So this is the same, and this is so I believe our code works. Now I've already submitted the code, and it's already accepted. So in conclusion, so you can say that our code successfully works. So this was it for the video. Thank you for watching.